heading down to Providence on a Saturday. It's time to go down and take a look and see what Carlos has done over the course of the week. Carlos, my very, very talented friend for a long time. He's helping me, or actually he's doing everything. He's been modeling an apartment for me in one of my multifamily houses. I was very lucky, and maybe not lucky, but like I understood like the value of rental property, so I managed to accumulate a bit of it down in Providence, and that's really been all the difference in terms of like being able to provide my family with a really good lifestyle, because it's a job like any other job, but it does pay, and it's consistent, and you can't get fired. Although I could fire the tenants, they can't fire me. Anyway, what was I talking about? Yeah, so this is, I'm in just a little bit south of Boston, heading down to Providence. And why am I making this video? Because I don't make many videos. And the reason I'm making this video is because I think in some ways YouTube really does provide you with the opportunity to create a historical record of your life, that maybe your children or your grandchildren can find you on the internet sometime in the future, and they might have questions about who was my grandfather, who was my great grandfather, so it is cool that YouTube provides you with that opportunity to do that. So here I am doing it. I'm creating a video, driving down to Providence. And I get it, how people are really trying to like define themselves in terms of how many subscribers they have, and that's a measure of success these days. And another one is, there's a lot of young people that are in a really difficult position because, inflation, and by inflation I mean the government printing money ad nauseum, is really priced things out of their reach. And they look at YouTube as a way to generate income, because we all know that whatever they're saying about the economy, it just doesn't feel right. It does not feel like a booming economy. And people are looking at every way they can to make money, like Uber and YouTube and whatever. And it's kind of sad actually to see people like doing this, thinking that it's going to be a source of income for them, because I don't think very many people develop a very wide audience, and this really is work. I mean, like, I'm doing a video right now just for the sake of doing a video, because I got nothing else to do because I'm driving down to Providence. But people that rely on this as a source of their income, they have to put a lot of thought into this, and they have to keep it fresh and new. Otherwise, people are going to get bored, and they're not going to listen to them anymore. They have to make it relevant. And I can see that you could easily chew through every possible list of topics that you would have. So you'd have to constantly come up with some, something to keep people engaged, and that's a lot of work, honestly. And I think the return for that, it just doesn't look real to me. I mean, it doesn't look like, I know I'm not doing this to get subscribers and views. I'm just doing this to amuse myself and to provide a historical record to whomever wants to, hear my voice in the future. And I appreciate that, YouTube. Thank you. But, I don't see the return in spending all that time and then you really, you're rewiring your brain too. You must understand that by focusing on YouTube as a source of income, you're consuming a lot of the content. I'm guilty of that myself. I really watch too many of these videos. And I think it can cause you permanent damage. I think that, overall we need to limit our interaction with the internet, not base our careers on interacting with the internet. Because there's something very insidious about the internet overall and about social media. Something that doesn't quite, it just doesn't feel right. Like the economy doesn't feel right. Anyway, what was I talking about? Okay, so I'm going to take 95 south, so keep on going. I listen to a couple of YouTube channels. I generally focus on channels that have to deal with precious metals and the economy, because I have a conviction that we are entering into a period of significant inflation. I think the best you could hope for is stagnation, but I think it's going to be rip your face off inflation. And I'd like to keep abreast of that to see if, I can try to avoid getting destroyed, or if you know how to play the game, in my opinion, you could actually make money if you know what's going to happen, right? Anyway, so I listen to the financial precious metals channels a lot, and then I listen to people that do like flea market flips a lot. Well, I find that really interesting. I personally, I go dumpster diving, and I also go to the flea markets, but I go dumpster diving quite a bit, and I've made quite a bit of money going dumpster diving. So and all those videos about those dumpster divers, that's all true. That is all true. The amazing amount of stuff that gets thrown away in this country is mind-boggling, and there is definitely the opportunity to profit from that. And I have. But so that's my hobby, is dumpster diving. What else do I watch? So the dumpster diving videos, flea market videos, precious metals and the economy videos. I listened to this guy, like Red Pockets, I think Red Leather Pockets or something like that. He's got like 230,000 subscribers, and I think he uses YouTube as the primary way in which he makes money. And it's kind of interesting to see, how his life is progressing. I guess that's kind of it, right? I mean, like, you find people on YouTube that you find interesting enough such that you're willing to spend your time in understanding their lives because you're interested in what's going on in their lives. So I guess that's why I listen to his channel, because I'm interested in seeing how he's shaping up. I think the last time I saw one of his videos, he had moved from Florida to Michigan, I think, which is really weird. I don't understand the backstory on that, and what he did with his parents' house. But in any event, let's see, here we go. What am I doing here? See, this is one of the reasons you should not film YouTube videos while driving, because I got off at the wrong exit, even though I've driven down to Providence 100 million times. I saw that sign for Providence. Let me get back on the highway now. So here you go. Part of the historical record now. Back on 95 South. I don't know why I got off at that exit. But I thought I might spend some time and do a couple more of these videos, just for kicks and giggles. Put them out there. See if there's any comments. I mean, don't have much to talk about other than my conviction that we're going into a highly inflationary period of time, and I've been prepared. preparing for that for a long time. I've been preparing for what I think is going to be a significant revaluation of the US dollar. Because if you understand what that means, you could benefit from that. So if you are listening to this video and you've listened to this video up to this point, my strategy is to accumulate some debt. Yes, debt. I want to get in debt as soon as possible for as much as possible, because I anticipate being able to pay off that debt in the future with dollars that are worth significantly less than they are today. And at the moment, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go and borrow money. I'm borrowing money against my primary residence so that I have a lot of money available. But I'm not buying anything at the moment. Like I'm specifically thinking about buying a house, another house, right? So what I do think is that interest rates are going to be going up significantly, and that's going to happen in the relatively short term here. Either that, or the government's going to have to do what they call monetary control. And what that essentially means is they're going to buy all the debt below, and keep it all below 5%. So that nobody has to borrow money at 10% or 15%. And they're going to let inflation run hot at the same time. And that's going to be brutal. It's going to be brutal for people that are living on fixed incomes or have dollar-denominated assets, because they're going to be like literally robbed by the government. And I think you got these 200 people at the top, or however many like aristocracy, Illuminati, pedophile families there are that run the world. They just see you as a bank reserve, more or less, because they go ahead and they spend all this money, they print it out of thin air, on whatever they want to fund, and that's like population, pacification, endless series of wars. If they want to fund significant public works infrastructure projects because it benefits them financially. In any event, they don't really care about us, the common people. They don't care. I don't care what government it is. They don't give a shit about you. So you have to look out for yourself, understand the game that they are playing, and play yourself. Because there's no point. You can't fight it. So, you might as well just try to go along to get along and take advantage of the situation. So in my case, I'm going to borrow money, and I'm going to keep that money until I find a decent deal. I think we're going to go into a small deflationary collapse right now. So if you can secure cash right now, I think that's good going into the next couple of months, because you're going to see a spike in interest rates and then a collapse, not a collapse, but a significant anything. It's going to be stagnation with more inflation, more unemployment. So if you can keep cash around, that's great, because maybe in 6 months' time, it's going to be like some phenomenal deals, right? In any event, I think that beyond that point, you want to own hard assets, farmland, productive real estate in the form of like rental properties, hard assets in the precious metals. You want to own foreign stocks. I would recommend South America. That seems to be fairly stable. Down in Brazil, although people would think of Brazil as a communist country, I would honestly have to say that the United States is probably one of the most communist countries that I've ever seen, with the exception of maybe the United Kingdom, which is 1984 here today in reality, with the United States running maybe like a third place behind the UK, the rest of the EU, and in any event, Brazil's not that bad, and I think that they have a young population, so I would encourage people to take a look at investing in South America. What else? I think that's everything. I got a carload full of tile for the bathroom. Picked that up at Home Depot, and if I feel up to it, I'm gonna go to Lowe's and a bunch of other stores and buy more materials for the apartment, so Carlos can have lots of stuff to work with when he's over there. Until next time.